to another Parkinson's Walks vlog on a glorious Friday. As you can see, we've got company this week. My youngest son Adam and his lovely daughter Lou called in to see me on a vlog day. Now how silly is that? So now they're doing a vlog. And they're delighted about it, as you can probably see. Right, okay, let's get on with the show then. At the end of this vlog piece, there'll be the usual film club, and I'm going to try and experiment with you this week. We've had all sorts of different types of music in the last couple of weeks, but this time we're going to have a brass band. Don't know, some people love them, some people loathe them, so let's see how we get on with that. But anyway, let's get the main vlog sorted out. And we'll start off with Pete Payne. And the vlog that we're talking about here is the last one that we did, which featured the wooden wrecks that have been grounded at Purton. And we had some lovely music from Mr. Spielberg to accompany that one, as you remember. Right, okay, so Pete Payne, he said, when you see all those wrecks and imagine all those folk, their boat builders and their crews are all long gone and from a different world than today. Can you imagine when those things were plying their trade up and down the river? A different world, wouldn't it, really? All hard work. Adam.
Ron from Vintage Trains and Abandoned Railways says, the film club with its hauntingly beautiful soundtrack, wow. Those Ulelian bagpipes really do tug at one's heartstrings.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, they really do, don't they, Mr. Spielberg? Thanks for that. James Weekson from Canada. James, who's obviously living with Sumac, is our official virtual mascot, of course. And James says, thanks for explaining what look like antennas sticking out of your head. I knew I wouldn't get away with that. Are they still there again this week? Probably are. Oh well. He said, Sumac and I were worried that you'd been replaced by an alien imposter. Could you tell the difference? So next week I'm off with the school rowing team to Knoxville, Tennessee for an early start on the season. The water here is kind of hard. I think that means frozen solid. He's going with 46 teenage boys on a 15-hour bus trip. Gee whiz. Grumpy old man Jim jumped in here and said, he replied to James, welcome to Tennessee in advance. So Jim then is holed up down in Tennessee. He said, welcome to Tennessee in advance. You will see some beautiful scenery, but my goodness, 46 boys, 15 hours in the bus, I can hardly imagine. Yeah, I know where you're coming from, Jim. Great. Give it a go, lad.
We've heard from Sumac MacArthur, who you'll remember is our official virtual mascot. Hi Ron, looks like you have a lot of comfortable chairs. Don't get too comfortable though, I want to go for another walk. Lots of snow here overnight, with thunder and lightning too. I hid under the bed.
Ah, so where was James then, Sumac? I reckon he was getting crowded under that bed, quite frankly. Right, Michael from Poland. Hi Michael. Greetings from Poland. He said, I must comment about the antennas you appear to have had fitted to either your head or the back of your chair. Something to do with the work you do for GCHQ. Shh, Michael. You got a secret. Or perhaps a Pauline warning detector when she's in your vicinity. Yeah, that would be useful. That would be very useful. Can't see you getting away with that though. Go for that.
This is me.
Oh, Lou's going to be able to go. What a Lou.
Rodney Masters, good morning Ron. The superb quality of your Beached Barges production suggests Spielberg would have benefited from an apprenticeship under your tutelage.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Rodney. Yes, don't upset Mr. Spielberg too much because he'll be sending me a bill for using his music. David Blaney from Spain. Yeah, good old David. Morning, Ron. There's been a lot of us messing about in the back row of your vlogs the last couple of weeks, so I don't see why I should be just asked to leave the room. You might remember David came up with some joke about the fishermen using bows because they were filming on the River Arrow. So we politely asked David to leave. Thank you, David. Go on, Ed.
Seems a bit harsh to me. Paul Boyle says, regarding Prescott Hill Climb, yes, I competed there many times in the late 60s, early 70s. Also Shelby Walsh near Worcester, Lutton Park near Shrewsbury, and many others up and down the country. On one occasion at Prescott, we had cars on the hill, a Spitfire overhead, and a steam train on the Gloucester and Warwickshire Heritage Line. Yeah, what a moment that must have been. And Dad, I think we've been to Prescott a few times. I remember one occasion, if you do, where a guy had a stuck throttle and he went right into the bank.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah,
sure if
well,
that's
some-
Paul or not. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
didn't look too happy about that, did he?
No, it wouldn't Paul.
Yeah.
Grumpy old man Jim. That hymn to the sea was hauntingly beautiful. It certainly was, wasn't it? The boats, however, could use a lick of paint. I think they've perhaps gone a bit past that, Jim, to be honest. It'd be hard pressed to find anything to paint. Engage on a shelf then. This is Simon, our hairy golfer colleague. He says, now then, that lovely preserved GWR 28 series at the beginning I've mentioned before. Designed by Churchward and put into production in 1905. And then Simon goes on to describe some of the history of it, some of its feats it did. Well worth a read, yeah. Wonderful. Thanks for that, our Simon. Bad. We're now moving on to Ashchurch to Barnt Green, which was last week's film, of course.
Yeah, and we heard from Malcolm Richardson, who says, a nice ending to a fascinating journey from Ashchurch via Evesham.
Yeah, Jim Nichols. He says, it makes a change to see you travelling by rail instead of on foot. Lickey Hills Country Park, mentioned in the Barnt Green station sign, looks a very interesting amenity. I was very impressed with their website because it mentions there are grassy areas for kite flying. But as we know, Jim lives down in New Zealand and flies kites. And he's got over 2,000 uploads on there on his kite flying. If you want a relaxing couple of minutes, go down to Jim's channel and just run through some of his films. Some of the stuff they get off the ground, blimey, it's amazing. Yeah, well done, Jim.
We've heard from Michael from Poland, who says, I was amazed just how long the trains were and how few passengers were being carried. Well, Michael, if you got the 705 from Paddington, from Chippenham to Paddington, like I do frequently, you can't get a sardine on there.
Yeah, well, it's been partly answered that by one or two people. West Country Wanderings, which is our Paul, of course. Alvechurch is a beautiful village on the canal, the Worcester and Birmingham, but it's sited farther from the railway station, unfortunately. He said those trains do get busy in the rush hours, so I guess they need all those carriages. That answers your point, doesn't it, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Paul Boyle says, the trains you were on didn't look over full, but I guess probably more so early morning and late afternoon.
Yeah, well done, Paul.
I still find myself reflecting on the fact that back in the day it would take a steam train a mile or two to reach the speed that modern stuff is doing by the time they clear the platform.
That's an amazing fact, isn't it, really?
Very powerful.
Yeah, they've got such traction, I suppose. Whereas a steam train, you try to do that and it'll just sit.
Spinning, yeah.
Yeah. Good point, that, Paul. Well done. Pete Payne. That was a great excursion, Ron. A train ride is always fun. It all looks so cluttered with all the steelwork everywhere. Ah, yeah, the catenary for the overhead electrification. He says it's a far cry from those stations in their heyday when Pride had everything neat and tidy. And it had a lovely presence, isn't it? I have to say, electrification does look messy. Will we get used to it? I suppose we will in time.
It is quite intrusive though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Charles Patterson says, shame the original station buildings were removed. Those traditional buildings are charming, unlike the modern bus stop enclosures that pop up.
Yeah. David then, our David from Spain again. What struck me about this was the sound of modern railways. Gone are the clickety-clacks, and in are the sounds of electric motors gearing up, accelerating the train, and the singing of the rails on the continuous track. Yeah, of course, it's all different, isn't it? The old steam train bubbling away and all those lovely sounds that we used to get. And now all you get are electric motors winding themselves up. Dearie me. David goes on to say, from Spain, we move into spring, but nobody seems to have told the bloke in charge of the weather.
Especially this week.
I know how you feel, David, I really do.
Simon from Engage on a Shelf says, riding a train? That was an expensive day out, Ron. I expect he got a discount. He would have got a discount, for sure.
Yeah, you can bet your life. Simon Richards, just to add a few facts. The line would never actually close, and then Simon goes on and describes a lot of the history of the line. It's a good read. It's a good read. Mo Johnson as well. I enjoyed Mo Johnson's comments because Mo came up with not only what the railway was, but what it is now, and why some of it was built as it was built, which is another good. There's some wonderful comments this week. Well deserve a read. Peter Batty then. Ah, yes. Peter. Peter's having a rant. I noticed what is a typical situation at most stations that are unstaffed. Ticket machines out of order, and then Peter goes on and lists about half a dozen other bits and pieces which really narc him. You got that off your chest, well done.
Peter, you've got to buy it on the app. Buy it on the app, on your phone. You don't need a ticket.
Oh, well, that's too modern now. we people on Parkinson's wards, we don't go in for that sort of modern nonsense. Right, Trev Joyce. We talk about history and people that provide the history for us. And Trev, as we know, is our resident expert. Every week he puts in so much effort and provides so much information. I said to him the other day, I feel uncomfortable really because I can't do him justice, not in just a little quick vlog, but it really is some good stuff. And this week he says, what a great way to end by taking the train. As you said, only Parkinson's walks would start in the middle rather than at one end. That's to avoid the car parking.
Fair enough.
He said, I'll start at one end with a few details regarding the history of the stations and maybe a few other bits and pieces too. So, Barnt Green.
The station opened in 1844. It became a junction station in 1859. The footbridge spanning both sets of tracks is the original bridge provided by the Midland Railway.
Approaching Alvechurch, the line crosses the Worcester and Birmingham Canal. Alvechurch station hasn't actually been recited as such. It still occupies the same original footprint.
After Alvechurch, the line continues generally south-eastwards on a falling gradient to a trailing siding that led to Redditch Gasworks. It was then just a short hop to Redditch Station.
The Goodyards area had a capacity of 188 wagons, both railway and private operator owned. There's also an engine shed on the site. Redditch Tunnel, we like tunnels, which exits into a small rural area of land in the Dingleside district of Redditch and can be accessed from Tunnel Drive. I look forward to with anticipation to your next adventure. And all I've done there is picked out a few bits and pieces to give you a flavour. Wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. Right, well that's the vlog come to an end. In a minute we'll have the film club, and I'm trying a brass band on you, see how you get on with that. A few shots of Cornwall as well, just to help it all along. And then the film next week then is Alvescott and Charterton. This was a film that was suggested to me by Duncan from Connection 500, and the attraction in this one and why we're going there is because there's two stations only 3/4 of a mile apart, so it looked like an opportunity, if you can get there of course, of maybe walking between the two. How did we get on? Well, you're going to have to tune in next week to find out. I'll see you down there, I know you won't be late, and with that it's good night from me.
It's good night from me.
Good night from me.
Catch you later.